This is Newcap News with Jacob Zaire.
Good evening and thank you for joining us, Jack. The Raiders not resting on their laurels, obviously.
No, you know, they won that championship, the Wheatland Football Championship, less than a week ago, but they're gearing up for their provincials, which starts on Saturday. We have a preview of that coming up in sports.
All right, Gerard, and as far as a preview for the weather goes, looking kind of nasty for the next couple of days.
Icy even. We've got that already lapping over for it's going to get some more on it before it's all done. Lots of freezing rain. In fact, for Lloydminster and area, freezing rain warning came out just at around 3:45. We did get to 8 today, just at around 3 o'clock, but just like yesterday, we're going to see those clouds building up, and those clouds are holding something ominous behind it. As we compare across the region, it's a similar story. Cold Lake and area got the most of it so far, including the freezing rain, some light flurries as well to add to it, and to the Battlefords where they've already had significant snow. Well, they got some more again earlier on this morning, just after 8 o'clock or thereabouts. Again, the wind channel values not doing us any favors. We'll talk a bit more about that freezing rain warning and stuff for our area in the second segment.
Yesterday at approximately 6 p.m., Meadow Lake RCMP were called to the Meadow Lake Hospital as one male youth aged 15 had been shot accidentally while hunting with 3 other male youths, all aged 15 as well. The victim of the shooting was stabilized and then airlifted by Saskatchewan Air Ambulance to Saskatoon and is in stable condition. It's believed the boys were hunting deer at the time of the incident. The investigation continues and no charges have yet been laid. The government of Alberta recently told Cold Lake Council they won't be receiving any financial aid for a big storm that hit the city in June. As Clayton Brown explains, it was a wet summer that wreaked havoc for both businesses and homeowners.
Wayne Tokash is the owner of a restoration company in Cold Lake that specializes in flood and disaster cleanup. He says this past summer was his busiest ever.
This particular year was the highest we've ever seen in the history of the company. There was hundreds of homes that were affected this year by the backups and water losses of all sorts due to the extreme flooding.
Tokash says even in small amounts, water damage can cause major headaches and put big dents in people's wallets.
The majority of the homes, a little bit less so. It seems to have been, maybe an inch or two kind of thing, still causing extensive damages, none the same.
Cold Lake was hit hard with heavy rains on June 29th and 30th, leaving some streets nearly 3 feet deep in water and doing extensive damage to businesses and homes. The city applied for disaster recovery assistance, but the province just recently turned them down.
The province has indicated at this point that we didn't meet the severity of storm requirements in order to meet the disaster relief recovery criteria.
There wasn't substantial evidence to prove that the downpour over the 2-day span produced enough water to be considered a disaster, something the city looks to address.
Cold Lake doesn't have any rain gauges inside the community. We utilize data from like Jimmy Lake or things that are outside the community that are put on by either Alberta Environment or Environment Canada. So moving forward, we probably should see some rain gauges inside the community.
But for now, businesses and homeowners affected by the June flood will be left footing the cost of repairs. In Cold Lake, Clayton Brown, Newcap News.
It's the busiest time of year for the Lloydminster Legion, but its role spans much further than tomorrow's Remembrance Day ceremony. All week, Legion representatives have been conducting ceremonies at local schools, and today they visited various senior centres across the border city. As Lauren Pullen reports, for some, this is their only chance to pay their respects.
Seniors here at Points West Living are paying their respects. Dorothy Drury is among them. Her husband Ray was wounded in World War II.
And he got wounded in France and then had to come home. So he was until July of 1944.
As not all seniors are able to make the November 11th service, and they really appreciate having a chance to pay their respects.
We are honored to be able to come around to the seniors' facilities here in Lloydminster and bring to them the symbol of our respect for what they have done to give us the freedoms that we currently enjoy.
In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row one row.
But Hemingway says those who do make it to the official Remembrance Day ceremony are in for something special.
We have a brand new poem that was written in the past year that we will be unveiling at the Remembrance Day service tomorrow morning.
Dorothy Drury's husband passed away 3 years ago. She's just happy she's had a chance to pay her respect.
Everyone should show respect because we wouldn't be where we are today if we hadn't won the war.
Lauren Pullen, Newcap News.
A new web portal is making it easy for the online community to find out detailed information on the environmental performance of Alberta's oil sands. The province unveiled the portal this morning at the University of Alberta.
The province says this is all about transparency, providing hard data on the environmental impacts of oil sands sites. But it comes at a key time as a delegation gets set to travel to the U.S. on a PR mission for the oil sands. The Oil Sands Information Portal was unveiled this morning at the U of A. It's essentially an interactive map. A click gives you site-specific information such as emissions numbers, water usage, environmental assessments, and tailing pond sizes. Alberta Environment Minister Diana McQueen says the site will be key in the coming days as she and a delegation head to New York and Washington, D.C. Their goal is to give their side of the debate over the oil sands and the controversial Keystone XL pipeline.
What we're saying with regards to Keystone and the facts and the work that Alberta has done on the environmental front, people can then go access that information themselves. So it's not for Keystone in particular, but what it is so that people in general can go and look at the information themselves and see the science base with that.
That delegation heading to the States includes the Environment Minister, the Premier, and former Calgary Mayor Dave Bronconnier. They're set to leave on Sunday. Reporting from the legislature, Bill Fortier, CTV News.
As each year goes by, the number of Second World War veterans continues to dwindle, and after the break, we'll see one Saskatchewan vet who has a pretty big claim to fame. The Great Escape is one of the most fabled stories of the Second World War. 76 Allied airmen made a daring break for freedom from a German POW camp. One reporter got to sit down with one of Canada's last living links to that moonless night in 1944.
For 94 years old, Les Kell's hands are still pretty nimble. In the Second World War, they were lethal on the trigger of the tail gun of a Whitney bomber until he was captured by the Germans.
Prison camp was really no damn fun.
There he put his hands to another use, part of a daring and ingenious plot, the Great Escape.
The odds were ridiculous. You didn't really have a hope in hell. but I'll dig.
Give up your hopeless attempts to escape. How many are you taking out? 250.
Immortalized in the 1963 Steve McQueen film, The Great Escape was an Allied plan to tunnel out of Germany's Stalag Luft III POW camp. Using little more than makeshift tools, Kell was a digger who helped 76 men get out.
And it never bothered you being down there?
A little bit, you know, I have to admit to it. Somehow I used to think, gee, Christ, what if this bunker caves in behind me?
Dozens of men were in on it. It took 16 months to secretly tunnel more than 100 meters and discreetly spread more than 200 tons of dirt around the camp, all under the noses of Nazi guards.
I can't understand how the Germans couldn't have caught us more often than they did.
Tunneling was one thing, surviving behind enemy lines, another. The night of the escape, Kell stayed behind, as prisoners who spoke German went ahead. That may have saved his life. 76 men escaped, all but 3 were caught, 50 were executed. These are their faces.
You see faces you remember here?
This one really well. Estwood.
One of the few remaining survivors, Kell says the escape failed, but it still managed to distract the enemy.
We occupied thousands of people recapturing us and stuff like that and keeping us in line.
A story of daring courage and ingenuity that sadly now can only be told firsthand by a dwindling few. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Esterhazy, Saskatchewan.
The Lakeland Environment Club in the Border City is trying its best to keep the campus clean. In this week's Green Living, Mike Baden explains how the newly formed club is doing its part to bring more awareness when dealing with recycling.
The Vermilion campus has had programs set up for almost 15 years now. So when the idea of a recycling program came up for here in Lloydminster, everyone jumped on board.
Last year I wanted to see more paper recycling, so I took it forward to Wendy Plandowski, who's our campus principal, and she was really interested in doing some more stuff through that too.
With the population of the school growing each year, the amount of paper used and beverage containers thrown out also increases.
I feel as if, as a large school and a large institution, that we should do everything we can to protect the environment and everything we can. It's just saving for the future.
Because the program is brand new, Shelby feels they have to start with smaller projects.
Well, we want to start more small scale, so we want to get more recycling bins in the school and more in residence too. So just trying to get people to recycle more.
And they are always open to adding more members to the team.
Well, if anyone wants to come out, they can always stop by the SA office or send us an email or get a hold of us somehow. And if you have any ideas, we'd love to hear them.
Mike Baden, Newcap News.
This feature brought to you by Lakeland College Environmental Sciences. Prepare for your green career by completing one of the college's 6 environmental sciences programs. Lakeland College. Live the learning.
Well, you hear him weekdays on Lloyd FM. Next week, you can see him live. Jimmy the Janitor is coming to the Midwest, and Heather Clegus has all the details for you on this week's What's Happening.
Oh, Jimmy the Janitor. He is bringing his unique comedy flair to our area next Friday night. He's going to be in Dewberry, but now is the time for you to get your tickets for the show. It's a show that the whole family will enjoy, and tickets only $30. You can get your hands on yours by stopping by the East Alta Co-op. The Vic Juba community players are hard at work getting in the rehearsals, putting on the final touches for their upcoming show, See How They Run. Tickets are going fast, but you can still get tickets for next week's Friday night and Saturday night shows. If you want to check out this classic English comedy, just stop by the Vic Juba Theatre box office to get your tickets. Some of the big names in country music were honored last night at the CMA Awards, and we've got some of the biggest names on this CD, Country #1. We've got music from Toby Keith, Brooks and Dunn, Kenny Chesney, Carrie Underwood. If you want a copy of this CD, really easy. All you have to do is email your name and daytime phone number to tvcontest@newcap.ca. We want to say thanks to John at Universal Music Canada for hooking us up with the music. Remembrance Day is tomorrow, and hopefully you can find a moment to pause and remember. If you'd like to be part of some services in Lloydminster, there's going to be one at Lloyd Comp High School. They ask that you be seated by 10:30 tomorrow morning, and things will start at 10:45. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, I hope you have a great one. I'm Heather Klegus, and that's what's happening.
What's Happening is sponsored by Winmar Restoration.
When flood, fire, or natural disaster strikes, the company you want to call is Winmar Restoration, coming through for you.
Federal Conservatives were facing a number of charges regarding their election 2006 spending, but after the break, we'll see that although there was a hefty fine, all the charges have been dropped.
Stocks and oil prices brought to you by Spectrum Restoration. When disaster strikes, don't wait. Call the professionals at Spectrum Restoration, a certified member of the Canadian Disaster Restoration Group.
Thank you, Gerard. As we all know, the weather can change on a whim, sometimes with little or no notice. Weather Farm has introduced an app for your smartphone that will help farmers be on alert. In this week's Crop Report, Peter Quinlan explains how this new resource will help us all be better prepared.
For the past 5 years, Guy Ash has been looking for ways to bring farmers up-to-date local weather information that helps them do their jobs.
No longer are you waiting for an hour update on information that's miles away from you.
Now farmers have access to accurate weather information right at their fingertips.
The Weather Farm mobile weather and alerting app allows an individual to get very localized weather data delivered off of every unique weather station in Western Canada to their smartphone device.
The app has been built for BlackBerries, giving the user access to local weather conditions, forecasts, historical data, radar maps, and severe weather alerts.
So they may pick a weather station right at where they farm and live and decide that they would like to build an alert that says, on this weather station, I would like to know when the wind speed gusts above 50 kilometers an hour.
Alerts can be customized for many different weather variables, from wind speed to hail warnings. This resource may revolutionize the way farmers respond to varying weather conditions.
No longer are you governed by what's fed to you. You can design it for your own particular needs, be it, cow calving in the middle of winter for wind chill, to knowing a spray condition for wind speed on a particular station, to overnight lows for herbicide application.
Weather conditions and alerts update every 2.5 seconds for over 1,000 weather stations across Western Canada. If farmers want even more detailed information, they may choose to set up a weather station on their own property.
And the whole weather station, the technology that connects it to the internet, and that all comes as a package deal for $1,750 one-time cost.
When a station is built, weather models use its data to improve the accuracy of local forecasts by up to 50%. To download the mobile weather application, go to m.weatherfarm.com. Peter Quinlan, Newcap News.
Italy is under intense pressure to prove it has the political will to take measures to stop the debt crisis from spreading. And after the break, we'll see that those steps include finding a successor for Prime Minister Berlusconi.
The ag and commodity prices are brought to you by City Center Auto Body. They can fix anything at City Center Auto Body, Lloydminster.